Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 66 of the Future of Work show. Can't believe we've been at it so long. For those of you who've been following us, in our show, we invite thought leaders, practitioners, and actually anyone who's doing something really interesting in an area of work that we believe is cutting edge. At Uncube, we work with leaders to help them become future ready. And part of this is having conversations like this so that at any given day, we at least have a sense of where the world is headed and what are some of the big skills that each of us in our own capacity needs to build on. Today's episode, episode 66, is the sixth in a series that I've been doing on AI and culture. This series comes at the back of some very interesting research that Jaspreet Pindra, my colleague, and I are doing on what enables some organizations to really be front runners in their AI implementation. And if you're curious about that, take a look at our newsletter where we release research notes. It should be on my LinkedIn profile page. In October, we will also be releasing a white paper that will share some of our research findings. And with that, let me get my guest on stage. My guest today is Anjan from Healthify, sorry, today. And Anjan's background is super, super interesting. He is an ISB grad. He's also the one who's leading AI product innovation at Healthify and is the chief business officer. So let me bring on Anjan. Hi, Anjan.
Hi, Shalini. Thank you for having me here. And it's been a while. We've been talking for a while, so I'm glad we're doing this chat publicly now. Secrets come out today.
I am so happy to have you on the show. I have to say that, that we've been studying organizations that are at the front, of their respective industry. And I've been super, super, shall I say, almost in awe of the work that Healthify is doing. You
Right.
guys are really doing things that very few others are. And so I'm hoping that in our conversation today, we'll understand a little bit of the secret sauce that enables you. so
Absolutely. And I hope that I can ask you one intelligent question that covers a lot of your career, but I don't know whether we'll have time to do that. I'll take that up as a challenge, but yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Look forward, Anjan. So, Anjan, let's start really at the beginning. Healthify is a leader in AI implementation. You've used AI for new business lines almost.
Right.
I'd love it if you can talk a little bit about how some of those ideas themselves came up, and the different ways in which Healthify is using AI to enable business growth.
Awesome. Happy to. We've been around for the last 12 years. Most of our audiences do not know that we've been such an old company. We are still a startup, though. 12 years ago, 2012 is when Tushar started the company as a calorie counter and a nutrition tracker. We were the first ones in this side of the world doing that. And in 2014, we started coaching services. And that's because a lot of people who came in to count calories wanted to lose weight. So if they want to lose weight, the best way to do that is put them in touch with the best coaches in India. And there was also a growing need for nutritionists coming out of colleges to get placed, but they had to go to the big cities, work out of hospitals. So it kind of worked both ways. We have never been a marketplace. We all our coaches work with us, so we are essentially just employers of coaches, and we service clients. So that business grew from 2014 to 2019. It's still our bread and butter. A very large part of our top line comes from that business. But in 2019, something interesting happened. We were, I think, about 10 million users in. Today, we are at 40. And at the 10 million user level, we were going deeper into India, which meant tier two cities, tier three towns. The need was real, but the ability to pay for coaching services was a little lower as we went deeper in India. And the need of the user was to lose weight using a meal plan. We got really famous as the creators of the best personalized meal plans. Uh, so what we did in 2019 was we took all the data that we had from 2014 to 2019. We had over 500,000 meal plans that were given out by our coaches to our clients until then. We took all that data, we built our first AI diet plan of sorts, which is completely personalized. It went down to the level of, hey, in India, some of us do not eat non-veg on Thursdays or Fridays or Saturdays. That is something that you get only out of deep knowledge in servicing Indian clients, people who really want to lose weight. So we built an extremely smart meal plan. And in the process, we also used the millions of messages exchanged between clients and coaches until then to create RIA. RIA is is and will always be the first AI nutritionist in the world. Um, RIA was capable of detecting intents, such as, you could ask, "How was my day today?" after logging your food. You could ask, "Hey, tell me a little more about what I should do today." All those things are kind of related, so those are intents. So RIA could detect intents and answer them. So both these AI products came together to we call Healthify Smart. So we went from charging our users 8,000 rupees for coaching services to giving them meal plans at under 1,000 rupees for 3 months, 6 months, and that really disrupted not just the industry but also the way we do business. And if you look back at the journey, it was just out of necessity. It wasn't force fitting. AI was not really upfront and center in 2019. I'll be very honest. It's not something that people deployed to solve a problem. For us, it came out of necessity to make things more affordable. Recently, though, cut to 2023, I think after generative AI has really picked up as a field of interest, we have managed to revamp a lot of things. Snap is this product where you can take a picture of a food and it will detect the calories and nutrition values of what you're eating. We started that project in 2019. We built our own models all the way till now. And you notice that today with generative AI, it is outperforming a human being. RIA has gotten a lot better. No more just 200 intents. It can answer literally anything about nutrition or fitness and grounded in Healthify data. We have co-pilots for our coaches, which makes our coaches happier because the amount of detail that they need to go to service a client at a personalized level is very, very difficult to do manually. So we use co-pilots to help our coaches with insights of clients and everything. So all in all, just wrapping up this long monologue, I think we've come a very long way in terms of just achieving product market fit in terms of AI products. 50% of our paying clients today choose to buy AI plans over coaching services, which is amazing.
I
We send
found that, yeah, I found that absolutely mind blowing. And I remember that with you and your team, when I'd earlier had conversations, and briefly alluded to that, the satisfaction is in fact very high with AI
yeah,
generated diet plans.
that's
So tell me, when RIA in its earlier avatar, when you just launched it, was it like diet plans plus a chatbot, and then it evolved into something else, or was the original intent that it would become an AI coach right from the start?
yeah. So actually, RIA was supposed to be the the first and the only AI nutritionist that knows everything, and it was an audacious goal.
Yeah.
Can RIA create diet plans? Yes, but our diet plan engine was not just with RIA, but we had a lot more happening there. The vision was that eventually, can RIA replace coaches? We strongly believe not yet. It'll take a while. From our learnings, we thought that we could do it at some point in time, but I think the biggest difference between reality and what we thought was the fact that accountability, conversations like this, Shalini, can be had with humans. With AI, it's becoming possible, of course. I think all of us have seen the GPT-4o updates and what's coming out there. Perhaps we'll get there, but still, if there is no human behind those words, we still don't know whether a health decision can be taken by a user without, human involvement, is what I'm trying to say. It's just accountability is best led by humans today, at least. I don't know whether that's going to change over the course of the next few years.
So this is so interesting because you are the first in a field, and I think traditionally, globally, so say MyFitnessPal has been a leader in this field, and I'm sure you're pretty much head to head.
Yeah, yeah, that's
I've been a MyFitnessPal user for many years. Uh, Perpetual struggle, but let's not go there for now. So, what is it that you think enabled Healthify to be the first to launch, an AI coach versus, say, just as an example, say MyFitnessPal, which has also got a very strong data set, I'm assuming, and
true.
I don't expect you to have the perfect answer because you probably don't know what was going on at that their end. But what is it that enabled Healthify?
That's an interesting one. I think what we realized
Mm,
is it's very market specific, to be very honest. In India, it would be difficult for us to start off, say, in 2012 and make a working business model out of something that was just a software solution. It was, in fact, a theory that we held all the way till 2019 when we launched Healthify
mm,
Smart, where people started paying for AI, right? The journey in between, though, had a lot of coaching services that happened because that was product market fit for us in terms of how do we make revenue happen, right? The reason why we could do, in my opinion, AI services so early in 2019, especially, was the fact that lot of what is required to service a client is the end product. It's not just the data of your calories, your protein, fats, carbs, fiber, your micronutrients. It's not just that. It's about
mm,
how humans behave when you give them a meal plan. It's about how humans behave when a nudge is sent out. If a message is sent out by a coach, we probably can predict the reply rate on that kind of a message today. That
mm,
comes from a lot of learnings. I still remember doing a study in 2019 when we built Smart. There were 600 segments of users, and those 600 segments behaved very differently. They needed different dietary needs. Example, you're diabetic, non-diabetic, different dietary needs. You like South Indian food, but you do not like dosas. That's a very different need versus you just like South Indian food. So it is also the complexity of how India is first. It's about how humans react in India. How do people react to meal plans? How do people react to coaching? That was the base for training everything that was required for RIA and Healthify Smart services. And not necessarily just the database. The database is just powering a lot of these insights,
mm.
but the end products are very different. So that's probably the best explanation I can give versus what MyFitnessPal has done. But the second thing I will just quickly add on is just the intent. I feel like our intent to solve a problem, which was people wanted affordable services. They were okay paying for services that were almost as good as a coaching service, but the accountability factor is missing. People are ready to do that. And how do we solve it? The intent to solve it, and do we use AI or not, was a decision that came later. But we used AI because it was scalable. It made costing uh, almost non-existent, right? At that level, at least back then. So yeah, so those two things put together, I think, made us who we are today.
No, that's really helpful, Anjan, because I can see this actually applying to many similar category of services, right? Where the price point where it can really scale up
Yeah,
is made that much more affordable by having an AI partner, like in your case, the AI coach.
true.
And you just shared a little bit about how different the price points are, and of course, yes, there are some differences, but in the eyes of many consumers, it's still it's a clear choice which one they would rather go for. So I can see how that would have been a much stronger, perhaps, driving factor than uh, perhaps some of the other products. And of course, your experience with enormous data sets right in India. So I can see how that would have been quite helpful in all of this. So I know that OpenAI has written about Healthify,
Yeah.
and you're a case study on their website, which, by the way, I did read once again this morning as well. So can you share a little bit about this connection between Healthify, OpenAI, and how this has sort of, you know, enabled your, entire AI journey?
Yeah, it's been very, very interesting. I feel like it's a part of the culture. I think you excel in the subject of culture, Shalini. So I think our culture got redefined a little bit over the last year or so, year and a half almost. I think we realized that we can't develop anymore in silos, because what we did in 2019 to be replicated right now as a product that actually fits the market requires using the best of the best technologies out there. So I think the first step is to actually tell ourselves continuously, no matter what success we achieve, that we don't know anything. So when we go into conversations on random night, for example, last night we were in a conversation with one of our partners in the US, who is an LLM provider, and um, going there with just a problem and not really, hey, this is the solution and this is not working or that's not working, when it comes to your products, is not the conversation that we lead. What we generally do is go there, show them the entire architecture, tell them this is what we've done. Hey, we're new to this, help us. And it's extremely collaborative, because the fact is that it's more of a symbiotic relationship than back in the day when you just go to, I don't know, an AWS or an Azure and just get server provisioning, right? That's very different, because we know what to do with those. In this case, both companies are learning. I think the reason why OpenAI featured us was because I think we probably set the largest amount of images that are food related in the world. I think we still do. um, and that's great for them. They are learning a lot from it. Also, because the models are getting better, we are learning a lot from. They are not training the models. They just know what their problems are with their models, right? We're able to give them feedback at literally 100,000 images level, or a couple of million images over a period of 10 months, right? So that is enough to actually take it back to their labs to make it better. For us, how does it help? Because we also need to know how to use all the amazing technology that they create. So it's been a great relationship. I think um, that also helps with one more thing. I think we both I'm sure we both struggle with the same problem of keeping up to date with news. Conversations like this and conversations with them are kind of similar, because we're learning right throughout this period. So it just short circuits a lot of assumptions that we make out of reading the news or reading documentation, just having conversations. So literally, we have every week connects with all of them. Um, they are very, very bought into the fact that we also deal with a very specific segment, doing good versus making just making money, right? So doing good is something that appeals to a lot of them, using the latest technology to drive health impact. So that's been very, very amazing. It's amazing to see that both sides are very receptive, and that means that we keep traveling. We travel a lot. At least one team member at any point in time in the US is what we're trying to do. I was there earlier this month, so that also helps. A lot of FaceTime, a lot of late night calls from India just helps keep in touch with how to use things, and keep in touch with what's new.
See, this is what I found really amazing, and I'm just going to underscore it because uh, you may not realize how uncommon it is, shall I say. Firstly, this being able to hold this belief that we don't know anything or we're just beginners in a field is not very easy, particularly as you become more and more successful and more obviously experienced. So, but still holding on to that as a mindset that, okay, we're starters here, sorry, we're beginners here, we're just trying to figure this out. Uh, I the fact that it's a collaboration and not a whatever vendor partner client kind of relation. I mean, obviously the commercial underpinnings, whatever
Yeah.
they might be, but it's like in the mind, how are you working together? And that's very different. And I don't know if you find this interesting, Anjan, but we are finding in our own work that for leaders to be or to stay or remain future ready, this is a huge shift in the way they need to operate, which is this whole desire for mutual collaboration, because that's really where the magic is happening in so many areas. And it doesn't happen if, as you said, you just become okay, tell us this, or do this better for us, do that better for us. This whole piece of mutually finding new solutions, and of course in your specific case, in the specific example, let's say OpenAI and you. But that's a
Yeah.
mindset. It's a mindset that goes behind it, and that isn't all that common. The other thing which I was super impressed by was just the conversation that you've had on an ongoing basis with OpenAI. You spoke about how you are very often there in the Bay Area. I know that several of your colleagues spend an enormous amount of time in the Bay Area just so that you, like you said, continuously have the conversations which will make sure that you are wherever the frontier of knowledge is at that particular point in time. And I'm just saying this because this is, now that we have a data set as well, and we have a sense of how different organizations are working, this is not as common. It's quite rare. And I absolutely love that about it. So I'm going to ask you, what's been the role of, the leadership right at the top? How has that influenced some of, how you've chosen to go about your AI implementation process?
Well, I've been here for the last 8 years, and I think one of the things that really drives this entire team, I think you can hear some of them enjoying their way out of the Friday outside. But yeah, so the fun element comes from the fact that we obviously, like many other startups, derive a lot of value out of creating good solutions for our users. Um, so that fabric of a culture stays common, but I think this latest evolution was led largely by Tushar himself. So Tushar, 12 years into building Healthify, has probably the same energy as he did 12 years ago. That helps, of course. But the fact that he could come back after a trip where he had met a bunch of leaders in the US, and he saw this thing really pick up. Uh, the focus on AI, the products that are coming out of the US, etc., really pick up back then. He realized that, hey, listen, we were the first ones to do it. So what are we doing? Why are we not on top of this? Um, he's been driving this culture from the front for the last year, asking very difficult questions. Many times when you go into a room where we're talking strategy, and it is almost funny because sometimes he's just like, "Hey, listen, what does ChatGPT say? Can you show me the ChatGPT?" So we in many of those cases we're like, "Hey, come on, we've built this business for so long, so we know everything, right?" But it's also funny that sometimes we actually do it, and then we realize that, hey, you're not thinking about this. You have your own biases. You're not thinking about something that an AI system is doing. Um, that's amazing. So it's not just how consumers view us; it's also about how we view ourselves. So he's been leading that from the front. I think my own contribution would just be the fact that I personally code on weekends. I build my own products for friends, for family, for myself. Um, helps me keep in touch with what's possible and have more meaningful conversations with our product managers, our engineers, whoever it is who's involved. Abhijit, I think you've spoken to him. He's our VP of engineering. Has been pretty much a champion of spreading this love across the organization because we are a pretty large organization even today. We have, say, close to about 900,000 coaches across sales and services, and it and building something like a Copilot was actually his initiative because he's like, listen, if they don't use it today, they're also going to be left behind in this world because the whole world is going to shift in that direction, right? Forget what it does to our business. It's about them learning that this is possible with AI. Let's make it real. So what we know is 90 to 95% of this 1,000-member team that we have, including coaches, including our engineers, our marketing folks, everyone, I would say are using AI in some form or the other every day. I know it's an audacious thing to say, but it is true because it's either built into a product that they're using or we are actually using it to make ourselves better on a daily basis. So these are real conversations, this ChatGPT conversation, real one. I'll just leave you with one example on this one. 3 years ago, we have this annual event called Ignite. It happens once in a year or so. And 3 years ago, the team had prepared a demo for Tushar on stage. And this was a demo of a three-way call. between a coach, a client, and Ria being an assistant to the coach. Basically, the coach asks Ria, "Hey, give me all the logs for the last week. What did the person eat?" And because of the user just going about doing it, it's prepping the coach as well as finally the coach says, "Hey, this week we're changing your diet to this, or you're going to do these workouts." The diet plan gets changed because Ria is listening to the conversation. Now that was a demo, but today it's almost real, isn't it? Because
Mm.
months all of us are going to get some sort. I mean, we know that photo is leading from the front in terms of voice, but I'm pretty sure quite a lot of them are working on it. Real-time voice is probably going to be a reality very, very soon. And at that point in time, it's going to look like, hey, 3 years ago we thought about it, and everyone thought this was impossible. See, we did it. So that audaciousness to just audacity to just imagine what the future can hold um, is also one part of this entire leading from the front. It's something that Tisha thought about, and then now we're almost at the brink of realizing it. So yeah, those are just some stories, but yeah, every day something comes up that just makes AI an important part of our lives.
In just a moment, I'm going to ask you to take us mentally backstage into what, culturally enables some of this. But I will share to the 2 points that you spoke about. In some of our other interviews with frontrunners in AI implementation, one, like you said, that, over the weekend you spend time coding yourself. By the way, we didn't know this. I didn't know this about you before. So, but it sort of makes so much sense because this is also true of some of the other organizations. And when we've spoken to, the leader of AI innovation in those organizations, it's a personal passion. It goes beyond just the job. There's a personal passion um, to keep learning and to keep almost honing your skills to see what is possible. uh, so it just struck me that, oh wow, so that's another place I'm seeing this. The other, which you spoke about in passing, the ability to imagine what's possible, and you spoke about how 3 years ago you thought of what if there is,
Yeah,
realize is it, so that's like being able to imagine possibilities. And in one of the organizations we studied, and I asked the leader of the whole AI project in this very large organization, what is it that he looked for in people he was hiring?
right.
He spoke about imagination, and he
That's amazing.
spoke.
I mean, I think that actually should be something that we should adopt too. Because I think what we do is, are you AI ready? Do you use AI on a daily basis? It seems to be something that we look forward to. But this is crazy. That's actually true. Imagination is everything.
Yeah, imagination. So I said, how would you possibly check for that? Because that's a really hard one to guess in a interview. So I mean, his own take was if we ask things like, okay, do you like reading science fiction? Who are your inspirations? Do you like gaming? Anything that has to do with the imagination, if they inherently have a taste for that, along with the ability, like you spoke about, yourself, but the ability to build things themselves. So, the understanding is not an intellectual understanding of AI alone, but they enjoy the act of building things
Right.
themselves. And they're looking for that combination of people who, are able to bring both of them together.
Makes a
So,
lot of
yeah.
sense. Makes a lot of sense. I think, yeah, that's a great learning for us also, because I feel like we are generally boxed within what we know, and that's why I said this conversation. This might sound funny. Hey, what did ChatGPT say? About your strategy about building a business. I don't know, in some random country. It might sound really trivial, but the fact that that kind of unlocks what you're thinking and what you don't know about the world very quickly, not going
Mm.
through a million search results, right? That is also part of creativity. I mean, it's part of the process. Hey, listen, you're relearning how you're thinking about your daily life, how you're taking decisions. So I think imagination is probably a very, very nice thing to look for. I agree with you.
So I'm going to ask you to take me behind the scenes a little bit, Anjan. I haven't visited your office, although at some point I would love to see. But I'm told that you have posters which say "In data we trust."
If it weren't so noisy outside, I would actually take my laptop and show you all those things. But it is so true. Yeah.
So I'd love
But
to hear a little bit about that, the relationship between being an AI front runner and inherent, shall I say, I mean, just to use your words, in AI we trust, but this inherent almost proficiency or savviness, prowess with using data. What role has that played in, you think, your being able to do the kind of things that you do?
I think in general, the first thing that we go back to is what's our goal as an organization, and it is definitely to deliver impact to our users in terms of their health. 80% of users come into Healthify for weight loss today in India. Um, and when 80% of them come in for weight loss, most people believe that workouts at a gym or going for a run is going to help them the most. It is going to help them, but there's also a very large nutrition component. And very often it's said that it's 80% of your transformation nutrition. Now, the thing about nutrition is the fact that the data that's required all the way from what a food has in it, all the way up to what a user likes consuming, all the way up to, hey, does this make, when we deliver that, does it make business sense? And all the way up to, does the user lose weight or, get to the goal? In each one of these places that I have highlighted, of course, there are quite a few more, it has played a very, very important role. Um, I didn't come prepared with this anecdote, but then it just struck me. The first database, the reason why Healthify got really popular in the early years and why we created this category was because the founders started with an Excel sheet of nutritional information that wasn't available publicly to the world. In India, unlike in the US, the database of foods is just not structured. You don't get all the information. And then we had to build a team of nutritionists to start filling that Excel sheet because Tushar got to, I don't know, maybe 1,000 foods and then it has to keep going. Today we are at a 250,000, right? In Indian foods alone across multiple languages. Like if you, I mean, it's not okra anymore, it is Hindi in India and, things like that, right? Every region, what your grandmom cooks, all that stuff is all in one place. That is also a differentiator. Totally get it. But as you said, the My Fitness Pal is doing that for the West, and on the East, we are here where we are really understand the Indian foods. That lays the base. Now, building that itself is a very complex process, but without that, nothing else works. So that is the base. And now with AI, it's actually helping us a lot more because a lot of this has been added over the last 12 years. We are revisiting it. Can we actually go to any country and build a database on the go when people are searching for food? Can we actually fetch that food from multiple places? And so we can do that. But what we had to do for the last 12 years was have the right kind of nutritionist look at it and tell us, hey, this is right. This information is right. It's Healthify certified. Because there is no other source of information in the world for these kind of foods. So that's the base. But then after that starts all the complexities of what people consume. Um, we write this report called What India Eats once in a few years because I think we obviously have the largest penetration of information coming out of India, right? Um, of course, today we have the Swiggies and the Zomatos of the world where there's a lot of delivery information. But what people eat at home is still a black box for most of India. We know that, right? And you'll be so surprised about some patterns that only we know that we can use to give people the products that they need. For example, let me quiz you, Shalini. What do you think is the largest contributor of protein in the Indian diet? What do you think it is?
Either milk or dal would be my guess.
Yeah, so that's because I think immediately I think your brain went to the fact that a lot of India is vegetarian,
Ah,
and hence that, right? Because otherwise it would have been egg or chicken or whatever
right.
it is.
Yeah, yeah,
Also true, but the facts show that A lot of India is also turning into vegetarian, so we have boiled
Mm.
eggs as the largest driver 2 years ago when we did the study. So boiled eggs followed by everything else. You're absolutely right, by the way, with dal and stuff like that. But just that there was this one thing that only we know that India's moving in
Yeah.
that direction. There are so many small nuances like this. There's just one among millions that leads to making data so powerful to build the right products.
Mm.
And then there is, of course, everything that I told you about the business model. How do you make it affordable for a large part of India? How do you make it premium for a large part of India?
Mm.
And then comes weight loss. I think the weight loss one is where AI is playing a very large role for us because we've always had these distinct data points. People ate a particular calorie budget, a particular protein, fat, carbs diet for a month, and then 3 months later, you saw them come back and lose maybe a kg of weight. How did that happen? Until now, we had to use very complex ways of figuring out correlations. With AI, we've been able to do that. The latest versions of RIA, you can actually ask RIA, why did you sleep badly last night? And RIA will be able to tell you that, hey, in general, I've noticed in our trends in Healthify that a high carb meal at this time generally affects your sleep. So it's aware of those things. That's grounded in what we know, right? And that's not that is something that's not on the internet. They
Mm.
can't be specific by the LLMs to figure out this is what is happening to you, right? We know the data. So some of these things are very specific to what Healthify does.
I love
So
that, by
yeah,
the way. I love that. Your enormous data set, and as it gets refined, is what allows you to do things that others cannot even. I mean, if they were starting today, it would be a while before they would be able to catch up. So I'm going to take a question from Kaba Pattis. Hi, thank you for joining. Now, you've asked many questions, but I'm just going to take the gist of that and actually connect it with Ria because you just spoke about that. Well, what is it that you think Ria might be able to do over the next few years that it can't currently? And what human-like
yeah.
capabilities would you wish to build into Ria?
I think one of the things that we are really working on, and that's going to take a while to build out, because not just because of the technical complexities, but um, because we don't have here to prove that it's going to have an X amount of impact. It's not quantifiable yet, but we know it's going to help because we've done our user interviews. Is the fact that AI can be proactive. So today, when anybody who's used AI would call it a chatbot, which is true, by the way. But yeah, does a lot more in the background, and that's what we spoke about. Builds your meal plans, gives you workout plans, whatever it is, right? That's one area. But for the user, it's just a chatbot. But for Ria to actually turn into a real companion and have impact on your life on a daily basis, Ria needs to be proactive, which means that, as I said, once you build out the correlations, which you're in the process of doing, build some of it out. The fact that on a Thursday evening you generally go out with your friends and have an unhealthy meal, or you don't log because you're having an unhealthy meal.
Oh my God, that hits home. Friday evenings for me.
We see that in our usage, right? Because we can see that towards Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Healthify's usage kind of dies down a little bit, maybe comes to about 70%, and then goes back to 100, 120% on Monday. Because most people want to get back to the routine on Monday morning. Now, the fact that we know that about you, right? The fact that it is a pattern, I believe that as a companion, you should be able to not intervene and stop you, but at least confirm at that point in time. Let's first confirm, and then after that, it should be able to tell you what to do. Okay, fine, you're going out tonight, so let's just do this. Looks like generally on Thursdays, your dinner is carb heavy, and you have, I don't know, apple cider vinegar before it, for example, right? I mean, of course, you guys are much better than I am at this, but that's enough to have that impact. We're not stopping you. We are a companion because you're able to be very honest with us, and we are proactive because we know what you do on a Thursday, right? So that ability is being built up because it requires a crazy amount of correlations to be built across billions of data points, perhaps, right? So that's where we are at. I think that's what Ria doesn't do today. I think what Ria also has not done really well until now is there are two parts of this companionship that we're thinking of, and one was this being proactive and predict, because that's what humans can't do today. And the second thing is what humans can do is have this conversation. I mean, it's a lively conversation. We're able to share things. I feel like conversation is going to be something that we will invest in a lot.
Wow.
In fact, Tushar is really leading that from the front at this point in time. We are on top of what's happening in the world. Uh, you'll probably see something come out of the Healthify Labs category of things very soon.
Wow, that's so fascinating. Can't wait. So, Anjan, my final question for today. Um, so much of what you do relies on, your organizational internally being fairly, let's say, with quick information flows through your organization internally. And I did ask a few questions, when we were doing our research around how does that happen. But I'd love to hear your views. How do you organize? How do you make sure that there are quick information flows? Obviously, we know that one of the perennial problems within organizations is that information so often gets siloed or doesn't travel fast enough. And for the work that you do, it's almost like you need it in real time. So, what do you think helps?
It's a good one. I feel like we're still a way to go in terms of just how much time we should spend on educating every part of Healthify about what product they're doing. I'm gonna leave that out separately because a lot of it is heavy amount of research, and we need to distill it down to what is consumable. But I think what is a general culture at Healthify is, it might sound very mundane, but the weekly all hands really helps because all of us speak about what our teams are. For example, last week there was a whole new way of servicing discovered in the US, for example. Teams are doing some pilots over there, and the way they are servicing over there is actually very relevant to India. Just that in India we built it a particular way; it's a legacy business, and we're trying to change it. So what actually happened on the team call was the US coach was asked to join. It was an India team call. US coach was asked to join, pull up a screen and show the entire meal plan and the plan that she had made for the US client. And it becomes so visual, right? There are two things that happen at that point in time. You have registered that, oh wow, there's an amazing way of doing this. And by the way, so she used our AI products to do it. So it means that first of all, an amazing way to do it. How do you do it? Oh, Healthify tech and product teams are capable of doing this. Why are we not using this in India? Right? So that's the second one. So belief that it's possible. And the third one is, hey, come on, even we can do it over here. So why are we not doing it? So just the little bit of a momentum change, the inertia goes away, and then you're rethinking everything. So that is one flow.
Love
Yeah. So it's just making people not just dream, but dream with real stuff in front of them. It's not the Ignite demo that I spoke about. I'm talking about real things that have gone out and impacted a real user. I think we should do a lot more of it. I think last week, I just remember this because last week this happened on the team call, and we called the US coach to do this. So yeah, I think the best way is show and tell is what I would say. And
100%.
and there's also one. I mean, for those who are very interested in AI products and what's happening out there, there's an open channel internally on Slack that kind of educates people about what people are reading. That's of course I think there in most companies, but we follow that very diligently because all of us need to be on top of it. So yeah, that's basically what we do.
I will say that I've seen this in a few other companies which have done this very successfully too, the show and tell model. Because particularly, I mean, you are a health tech company, so tech is very much part of your DNA.
Yeah.
But, even in organizations where maybe tech isn't their core DNA,
Right.
the show and tell seems to be an extremely effective way to get people who are not necessarily from a tech background to start thinking of, oh, okay, so this is possible today. I didn't know that. Let
Right.
me ask if we can build something like this for a business problem that they're trying to solve. So thanks so much for sharing that. Really helpful. Anjan, it's been such an amazing time, understanding from you a little more about how Healthify has been, such a front runner in AI implementation. I have to say that all the conversations I've had with you and your team have been, I mean, I've just learned a lot. You are doing a great job. And many things are so distinct about what the way Healthify is doing an AI implementation. Although, of course, as through our conversation, I've also been drawing out the parallels that I'm seeing with some of the other organizations which are doing really well. So appreciate it so much. Thank you so much. I'm sure all our viewers would have learned so much around what a successful AI implementation really requires from a mindset perspective, and how that influences both the speed and the quality of implementation. I am going to repeat some of the things you already said. The intent of it started with this intent of solving a business problem, and the business problem that you started off was that you wanted to be able to operate at a price point where a human coach wouldn't have made business sense. So how can you use technology to solve a business problem that I'm sure many other organizations are also facing? But what enabled you to sort of take that business problem from an outsider's view, of course, and create an AI solution through that was both the fact that you had the data to build upon, but right at the start, the intent that, okay, technology is not it's not an afterthought, it's not a cost center, but technology is the solution. And we are seeing that to be common across front runners. It's one of the early go-to places that, okay, can tech be the solution, rather than, we'll come to other ways as well, but tech as one of the first ports of call, which of course we saw with you. This whole almost hunger for learning, which we've seen. Certainly, I haven't come across another organization where it's been as synced up in real time with OpenAI or another provider. I haven't seen, at least. I mean, I'm sure there must be, but not in our research set, at least as yet. So I found that phenomenal. That ability to almost and you said collaboratively problem solve, which is in any case what we're seeing as being a future ready skill for leaders. So how some of this comes together: faith in data, technology as the first port of call, an actual business problem, and almost you haven't said this, but a technology evangelism almost right at the top. That, okay, that's where it's a mindset, and I haven't asked you enough questions, but I'm sure that has implications for the kind of people you hire. You perhaps would be more likely to hire people who share a similar appetite for technology and its possibilities, and what's the next set of problems that we can use that to solve for. The whole iterative quick problem solving, let's try this again. And then, of course, stitching together information across different parts of the organization much faster than in the very traditional sort of organization setup. So thank you so much. Appreciate it so much. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks, Shalini. And I think today, LLMs versus Shalini, I think Shalini is 1-0 because recall everything. recall everything that we spoke about. So thank you. And it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope I come back on your 132nd episode. That's like, so, yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And for all those who are joining us, do stay tuned. We will have a few more conversations on AI and culture. And in this series, you'll notice that I'm getting some of the finest minds from all over the world. And we have some super impressive global guests who will be joining us next. So with that, thank you very much and have a lovely weekend ahead.